Hey, everybody, and welcome to day one of our 4-year anniversary. D&D Beyond is officially a toddler. We're very, very excited, to just be a sweet little baby running around, sticking its fingers into electric sockets and just learning about life. Thank you guys
Picking
for
up
joining us.
knives.
Just picking up knives, learning what we can and cannot do. I'm Joe Starr. I am joined by the much more important Mellie Doucette to jump into this with us. If you are joining us for the very first time, we're very glad you're here. If you're joining us for the second or 70th time, we're also super stoked that you're here. What is it that we do here? We think that D&D is a game for absolutely everyone. Whether you were an eighth grader that grew up in Kentucky and got made fun of for his glow in the dark Gambit shirt, or if your circumstances were the exact opposite of that, D&D is for you, and we hope that you will check us out. Come spend some time with us. Register for free over at dndbeyond.com to find out how easy we try to make it to just jump right in and start playing. That's the mission. D&D is for everybody. We make it easy for you guys to play. There is a ton going on this week, so I will micro machine man through this as quick as I can, and then we will jump into the show. There's a ton going on. There's a sale. Mellie, what's that sale all about?
The sale is 20% off of all books and bundles in our store, and that's already applied. You don't have to enter give it any special code. You just boom, you go there, you're done. Get it. Get the
Boom, you're
20%.
done. Mellie, there's giveaways. What are the giveaways all about?
There's giveaways. So first up, there's giveaways in all of our streams throughout this week. So if you tune in live, you will be able to win a whole bunch of amazing stuff. We also have giveaways happening over on our social and community spaces every single day this week. So today, head over to our Facebook and tell us about the first character you ever created on D&D Beyond for a chance to win a special bundle and to be entered to win a legendary bundle as well. And throughout the week, we're going to have more. So tomorrow, check out the forums and, just follow the trail of breadcrumbs I leave behind.
Heck yeah, 11 crumbs. And then, of course, all week we are playing benefit games for both Stack Up and Jasper's Game Day. Those are starting at 2 o'clock Pacific time every day until 5. Today, super stoked. We're having a little family reunion. Amy, our own Amy Dallen, will be DMing. Mellie and I will be joining as players, along with our own Michael Galvis, and we're going to be joined by B. Dave Walters, Jen Kretschmer, and Adam Bradford. Coming back home, you always want to be the high school kid that goes back home to visit his teachers. We're stoked that Adam's coming back to hang out with his teachers a little bit. Very excited about that game. Also super excited about these causes, about Stack Up, about Jasper's Game Day. Jasper's, you guys know, we've had Fenway on the show to talk about it before. If you're not familiar with Stack Up, also a suicide prevention and awareness group with a focus on our veterans. It's a cause near and dear to my heart. I worked with them in my previous life at Screen Junkies. They actually partnered together, so I was so excited that those worlds got to collide. They're a wonderful organization working on suicide prevention with a gaming focus. So we're super stoked. We're so stoked that you guys are here to help support as well. But sorry, let me just jump into this show. Today, we're taking a little bit of a walk down memory lane. We're going to take a look at how D&D Beyond started, how we've evolved, and more importantly, why. Why have we made the choices that we've made? Why is the toolset shaped the way that it is? Why are we doing these things that we do? And trying to take a look at where we're headed, where we want to be when we turn 5, where we want to be when we turn 8. And there is no two better folks to do this, really, in our opinion, than our Senior Director of Product Management, Ant, and our VP of Engineering, Dave. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. For one thing, happy birthday, happy anniversary. Super stoked to have you guys. And we're also going to give you guys the opportunity to really just hardball these two with questions. Mellie, how can the community best make these two sweat?
They can pop into the chat and they can ask their question, prefacing it with the word question. No symbols in front of that word question. Those will go into our question bot. We will get to as many as we can, so get them in there.
Amazing. So I want to start kind of at the beginning with you guys, and then I'm going to shut up because I'm a dumb clown, and You all are the experts. Um, Day one, what was the original vision uh, for DDB? What was the group kind of hoping to accomplish? Dave, you were there.
I was there. So take you back to late 2015, early 2016. We hired a product manager named Adam Bradford. Those of you who continue to watch the stream later in the day will see him in our game event this afternoon. D&D Beyond, as we know it, was not a thing there at that point in time. And Adam kind of came in with that vision of, hey, Dungeons and Dragons just launched 5th edition, the year prior. It seems to be gaining momentum. It seems to be more popular than 4th edition was. And there aren't really a lot of great digital tools out there. Maybe with our skill sets at Curse, whom we were at the time, we could develop something a little better. So he put an office game together that consisted of a back-end engineer, a front-end engineer, a designer, a community manager, really kind of all of the skills that you would need to start building out a prototype website. And so he got us playing, and I've been playing since the mid '80s, so I was already invested as soon as he mentioned it. Some of the other people in the session had not played before, not played Dungeons and Dragons, so we used the game to get them interested and get them passionate about what we were wanting to do. And at that time, Curse had a program called Ignite, which was like an internal incubator program. So if you had an idea for a particular product, you could present that to management and deliver a set of business objectives, business goals for what you were trying to achieve, and milestones that go along with it. So as long as you kept meeting those objectives and hitting those milestones, you could keep progressing with that project. And that's exactly what we did. Now, when we started this in 2016, so I will say DDB's official launch date is August 15th, 2017. I will never forget that day because I was up for like 48 hours straight. I will never forget that day as long as I live. However, for me, it's actually our 5th year anniversary because we started initial designs, concepts, and prototypes in August of 2016. So I've been at this for 5 years now. But we kept hitting our milestones and our objectives and kept getting a green light from management to continue. And at that time, we had not established a relationship with Wizards of the Coast. We were intending on delivering a site that was focused on the SRD, or the Systems Reference Document, which is the free part of D&D 5th edition. And we're originally going to call it tabletophero.com. That was the original name. And we had intended on putting some ads on the site and maybe making $20,000, $30,000 a month. That was our original goal. I'm happy to say that we have far surpassed that original goal. As we continue to develop our internal concepts, we made contact at Wizard of the Coast through the MTG side, Magic the Gathering side, because at that time Curse was also running MTG Salvation, which was a community site focused on MTG, and our salespeople had contacts at Wizards of the Coast through the MTG side. They put us in contact with individuals on the D&D side, and we went up, had a conversation with them in their office in Seattle. And, they were excited about what we were doing, what we were proposing to do. And by that conversation occurred in December of 2016. And by February, we had a signed contract in place with Wizards of the Coast, which, I will say, like, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro. It's an extremely large corporation. By that point in time, Curse had been acquired by Twitch, who was owned by Amazon. So from December until February, we had a contract signed, negotiated and signed between Hasbro and Amazon. That's relatively unheard of to get something pushed through
Yeah.
by two organizations that are that large. So there was a lot of passion behind getting this deal done and getting a product built and delivered, for the users. And a story I always like to tell: going into launch day in August of 2017, our little cube area, we had a wall on one side of it, and on that we had a whiteboard up there. And that week, leading up to launch day, we all started putting bets, not money bets, but just gentlemen bets on how much we thought we were going to make in the first 24 hours. And we had guesses of $20,000, $30,000. Me being the ultimate pessimist, I was at $5,000. I think Craig, our tech ops manager, I think he was the closest at 100,000 in the first 24 hours, and we came in over 300,000. And that's when we really started, understanding the actual potential of what we were trying to build. And that the tabletop role-playing industry in of itself was gaining a lot of popularity in 2017 going forward, and and fifth edition along with that. Wizards, arguably there were a lot of issues with fourth edition. It was not well received by the community, and they really kind of turned that around with fifth edition, and it was much more popular, and that's borne out by Wizards' own metrics for how it's performing in the industry. And that's when we really started understanding that this could be bigger than anything Curse had ever done to that point. So that's
I think it's sort of clear from the jump, Dave, like from that launch day, like how excited people were for just like some ease of access, like digital tools. Like I biased, I work here now, but there's a reason I wanted to work here. I was stoked about what you guys were doing. Like this is what got me back into D&D. My first experience with like our digital RPG tools outside of like playing a mush or something like that was there was a guy that made a GeoCities site where he just had character builds for riffs. And middle school me was like, this changes everything. Oh, and I was missing stuff like that. Moving forward, and so this is what really got me into D&D back in. So were there any sort of like you guys had the initial meeting, and I'll ask you this as Mellie sort of gathering questions, and then let's drag Ant into this conversation too. But you guys sort of talked about, hey, we had this infamous first game as immortalized in a Hamilton parody song. But were there philosophies, were there like major things that is like it has to accomplish X, Y, and Z, or what's the point? Because I see now, we're so character sheet driven, but like, was that how it was in the beginning, or?
So, all right, that's a great question. I still remember, and I can still see it in my mind's eye. Almost 4 years on now. It was shortly after launch. No. I take that back. It was shortly before launch, because we were. So the 4 months leading up to August 15th, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us on the team. Myself, Avi Samloff, Scott Benish, Pasquale Chiazzo, Adam Bradford, Elliot Spill. And we all were working pretty much 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. From like mid-April or early May all the way to mid-August. And that's not hyperbole. It was literally 7 days a week with no break. I missed my birthday. I missed my youngest daughter's birthday. I missed July 4th, Memorial Day weekend. But it was a labor of love. We were all passionate, extremely passionate about getting this product launched. And I remember Bradford turning around in his seat, because we were like all in a little cube area, So he turned around to look at us, and he, I mean, we were all putting in the same hours. We were all there late night, every night, working on it. And he turned around. I think we just ordered dinner, so we're kind of sitting there eating. He looked at us and he was like, "Guys, why are y'all doing this? Like, y'all in here every night. Like, what's keeping you going?" And for me, my answer to that story was to help our players tell their stories. That's the issue that D&D's always had. If you're not in it for just min-maxing, is breaking the narrative, breaking out of the story, because I got to go find this book and I got to flip through it to page 137. Mm-hmm. If I even know that's what the page is, try to look this. All right, hold on, guys. Let me break immersion for everybody at the table. Flip through these pages. Remember what this rule does. Remember what this spell does. Remember what this feat does. That's the problem, I wanted us to try to solve. Because, in today's environment, we have such limited time to be with our friends, our families. It's amazing if you can actually keep a game going every week for a few hours and keep everybody coming together. And what I wanted to do was develop a product that could maximize that group's time together so that they could tell their stories, not flip rule books, not sit there and try to do the math. Now some people enjoy that, and we try to have the tool, as customizable as we can to let power gamers power game if that's what they want to do. But for the narrative side, we wanted a product that could let people stay immersed in that character, be that character for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, that once a week or once a month that you get. So that was our driving mission. That's the problem that we were trying to solve.
And I'm kind of curious because you talked about how, scrappy this beginning was and how much and how hard everybody had to work to get all that stuff done. How has that changed from like when D&D Beyond started to like when it became an actual thing with a deal with Wizards to when, we moved over to fandom to now? Like, how has that journey been?
So I will
showed
say,
up.
yeah, definitely, which has been a godsend. Having a product manager who's also been in engineering, I can't tell you how much that helps me. I mean, really. I will say I'm not proud of the situation that we were in as a team at that point, having to work like that to get the site initially launched. That is not something that, I don't want hero efforts like that to make every feature launch that we have. And that's not something that I support in our organization now. It was a different organization at that time. It was a different time. We did what we had to do to get the site launched because we were given a deadline. But that is not how we operate now. For the majority of 2016, it was just me and Avi. Just 2 engineers. Then we brought on Pasquale and Scott. Late 2017, we brought on Tyler and Lee, who were focused just on the initial mobile app, the reader app that the first version that we launched. And that was the team all the way up until 2019. So what we've tried to build up to that point was just, anywhere from 2 to 6 engineers. And it wasn't until we became part of Phantom that we started consuming more resources internally to work on DDB because we were growing so much, right? There was just a lot more traction in that product than some of the other products that we're working on. And in 2020, that continued to accelerate. 2021, we were up to almost 50 engineers at this point working on this product. So we have grown substantially. And I know for our users, it may not necessarily feel like that yet, because a lot of those resources came on, almost closer to mid 2021. But what they've been working on behind the scenes, you haven't seen yet, and you're going to start to see a lot more velocity out of this team than what we've been used to in the past, because we were always resource constrained. For Curse, it was we don't really know how this is going to do. And then we were, fairly quickly bought by Twitch, and to be open and brutally honest, we were not what Twitch was focused on. They bought Curse for a totally different technology, a totally different product, and they weren't extremely interested in investing in what we were trying to do on DDB. And, luckily, when Phantom acquired us, they saw the potential in this product and have been, willing to put a lot more resources behind it to let us, start accelerating and build the kind of product that we really want to build. I've been a DM for God, longer than I care to admit at this point, and I know we've done a horrible job on the DM side at this point. We have not built the tools that we want to build for DMs, and we're just now getting to where we're able to do that. I mean, I remember back in the early 2000s, running Neverwinter Night servers, for the original Neverwinter Nights, and trying to do a lot of scripting and be that DM, that virtual DM for players coming onto the server and playing those stories. And we want to provide that same kind of automation, the same kind of tools for DDB users as well. We're just not quite there yet, but it's a lot closer now than it was a couple of years ago.
Well, I mean,
and that's
yeah,
the
I think
question.
you've.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Oh no, Mellie, go ahead. Hit us.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's a question that a lot of people have been asking today is about DM tools and campaign management tools compared to we had lots of player tools.
Right.
And yes, everybody's also been asking about the cat. So it's really awesome to hear about that. Are there any hints, Ant or Dave, that you can give people about some DM things they might be able to look forward to, or goals that we may have with DM tools?
Oh, I don't know, Dave. Should we give hints?
Say what you want to, man.
He's giving you that choice.
This always starts to feel very dangerous. This always starts to feel like this moment on a first date where two people are like, "Should we? What are we doing? This is crazy."
Well, it would be nice if I could paint you like a mental map of everything that we're laying out for what we're going to be doing. But there are, I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. It's not just us that's a part of this. It's also our partner, Wizards. So there are things that have to come together, which should be coming together any moment now. So over the course of this week, the next 2 weeks, hopefully everybody will get that insight into the things that we've been working on furiously this year.
Have a much better idea of the landscape.
Yeah, I think that there's plenty of evidence out there in what we've been doing over the last year or so. I came in just over a year ago now. It was June last year when I arrived. That was like we just launched local dice. The player app was just about to go out. And then the things we've done since then in the last year, I'm going to digress very quickly. Here's my favorite history story, since I don't have anywhere near as much as Dave. When I was brought in by my boss, Mike Limes, who was the VP of product. He came and found me. We used to work together at MapQuest, so we'd spent a bunch of time doing maps together. But he needed somebody who not only could do product management and pull together a product management group, but also actually understood the space. And he knew that I was an absolute rabid role player, which is why he came and got me. And I started June 8th, and Michael goes, "I'm glad you're here. The very first thing I need from you by the end of the week is a draft of the Q3 roadmap." The job you just started. And I'm about to leave on a 3-week vacation in an RV where you can't get a hold of me. Have fun. So that was my entrance about a year ago. But since then, over the last year, we've put in place, there were a lot of things, as you asked about the DM tools, there's a lot of things we had to put in place to truly start serving the ability to even create those tools, let alone start the creation of them. And since then, so we've got in places now, you can see local dice rolling has gone to shared dice rolling, and that meant that we had to put in a game log, right, a message bus underneath that would communicate across the different parts of the site. So even just to do the shared dice rolling, we had to build a massive piece of infrastructure this over the course of the last year, which enables us to start tying everything together. What else did we add? We added state. We've been adding state, the ability to save things and restart things more than just the character. Right? And you've seen that recently with the combat tracker, save and resume. So that's another piece of that. When you're running a game, you don't want the game to vanish in the middle of it if you've got to come back to it later. So amazing strides there. And then also mobile. Now we've consolidated the mobile app. So now we've got the player and the library there. So you start to see that mobile itself becoming a full-fledged part of our ecosystem, right? Where it mirrors the web, because that's part of when we speak about integration, right? Normally integration is just almost a dev word, right? We're going to integrate these systems and they will work wonderfully. To us, integration is also integration of environments, because we want somebody to be able to play. It doesn't matter if you're on the desktop, if you're on a laptop, if you're on your phone, or if you're on Discord, like we have with Avre, right? So these platform elements that are behind the scenes that then enable us to do tons of vertical features on top, we're building them not just so that we can do it on web, but so we can do it in those different devices and those different form factors, and have that ubiquity of DDB, whether it be for you figuring out what you're going to do and getting your session started, all the way through play, and then out the other end with the history of it, which is another piece we haven't got to yet. So that's
as we pivot a little bit, sort of into the future, and some more questions from chat. Let me hit you guys with a little bit of business. If you're just joining us, or if you missed the intro, welcome. We're celebrating our 4th anniversary all week. Super stoked about that. If you've never messed with D&D Beyond before, register for free. Try it out. The basic rules and all that good stuff are there for you to jump into. Mess with creating characters, stuff like that. We've got a huge sale going on all week. Super stoked about that. So go buy your books. And don't forget that when you subscribe to D&D Beyond, you get to share those books with your friends for free, which is pretty sweet. We got giveaways going on all week. We have a community giveaway on our Facebook page going on right now. You can go to our Facebook page, join, and check out how to get involved in that giveaway. We're talking dice and the character sheet on Wednesday, and we're going to talk a little bit about community and stuff like Avre on Friday. And then with that money that you saved at the sale, come join us every day this week, 2 to 5. We're playing benefit games for Stack Up and Jasper's Game Day. 2 to 5 Pacific time specifically, and you guys can donate to help influence those games, to give re-rolls, to add monsters, to create characters and NPCs and all that good stuff, just to kind of trip your DMs and players up. Today, speaking of Adam Bradford, coming back to play with us today and roll some dice along with B. Dave Walters and Jen Kretschmer. Super excited to have them on. Super thankful for them to be donating their time like this. And yeah, that's all the business. Mellie, as we sort of transition a little bit into talking about the future, talking about the shared game space, do we have any questions from chat?
We do, yeah. I mean, we definitely have people that are asking, like, hey, what about this thing? What about this thing? What about this thing? And hey, future requests, we'd love to see them, and we are gathering them in the chat and putting them onto boards. But I do think this one comes up a lot, and it ties into those conversations we have about the fact that we are an official toolset with Wizards of the Coast. We are, the stuff we do is with Wizards of the Coast. So we got a question from AO, which is there any support for third-party content planned on the horizon? What's the story with third-party content?
So that's more a matter of business terms than it is necessarily functionality first, right? So technologically speaking and product speaking, we have a lot of things in place to do that. I can't say that it's the sort of thing that you say that it's not on the horizon, but you're just coming over the lip of a hill and you might find yourself stepping on it immediately. You step over the top of the hill. It could be
very good way of saying it.
Right under the lip of the hill. It's all on there are plenty of other things that's a business thing. That I mean, I think I can speak for both Dave and I. That we would love to do that.
Just a
That's a
matter of all
matter
those
of
logistics and all of the handshakes that got to happen. And
right. Is there
hey, we get asked that a
people?
lot. And Joel told me to make you guys sweat, so throwing these.
Make me. I'll say I would love to do this. Absolutely, totally want to do this. We're there. I think from the business perspective, there are things that we got to get finished and in place first on our current strategy and aim. Before we would be fitting other stuff in. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think functionally, there's stuff like the universal play, universal. Oh wow, I just lost all my words. Thank you. The feature system, yeah, some stuff like that.
The general feature system, the universal feature system, there's many names. The feature system of many names.
Well, that's I mean,
which is the thing I think I'm most excited about for the future. So I mean, I think if you guys tell us a little bit about that, I think that would excite a lot of people.
I'll do it from the product perspective first, and then I'm sure Dave can give them from the technical perspective. For us, right, we know that there's whole chunks of books that we still desperately want to support and need to support to fulfill our promises to ourselves. And the GUFS, generic universal feature system, whatever you call it, is that is what allows us to do that. That is a system that allows it would allow us to do many other things that come down the pike that we haven't even seen from Wizards yet, adding to the character abilities. It's a high priority for product, but it's one of those things that we know is not an overnight thing. So we keep working at it at the same time as we're working on other things that we've also got to get done. It's a large project. Dave, anything you care to add? Technical complexities? Need to delete the entire everybody's characters before we can do it?
Yeah. All right, so everybody, you're going to lose your characters, but we're going to get the system. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's one of those situations where we don't want to write code to support Python, and then we have to write code to support booms, and then we have to write code to support lycanthropy, right? Like we want to develop, and hence the name generic or universal, something that is going to be able to handle, those changes to your character in a more generic way, so that we have an underlying system that can handle those. So if Wizards introduce something that's in a somewhat similar vein in a new book, then we're much more, can much more easily implement that than writing a whole nother section of code to implement this new rule system, this new rule change that they're introducing. So, and Ant's right, that makes it a little more complicated. The more generic you make something, the harder it is to use. It's a balance there that we have to find. Now, I will say we've not been working on this for 4 years. We just started in earnest in 2020, being able to look at, okay, what kind of system do we want to write? And the team that would be responsible for that, the characters team, has already done some initial work on it. And unfortunately, we had to repurpose them onto another feature in the interim to meet some specific goals. But once those goals are met, they'll be flipping back over to that until it's finished. And that's probably going to be later this year, early in the next year. And then once we get that system finished, we'll be able to start applying all of these, grandfathered rules that we haven't been able to handle yet.
I'm very excited about it.
That.
There's so much that's going to add. We have a few people asking, Oh, go ahead.
No, Ant was just saying we're excited too.
Yeah, so we're excited for it.
Then yes, we have a few people asking, about stuff that you've been working on specifically, or things that you're the most proud of. So I guess the question I think I will pull from that is the stuff that you yourself have worked on. You, Dave, you, Ant. like what here at D&D Beyond are you most proud of that you want to kind of shine a light on, even if it's not glamorous? What are you most proud of?
For me, it would have to be life domain support for the cleric. I know it's just that was because when I came in, right, and I'm figuring out, what do we got, what are we doing, what should we be doing, what processes do we need to put, what, figuring everything out, and I'm grappling with the rule set, right? That was a big conversation. It's part of why we got general feature system going on, and I was like, look, we got to make sure we support all the rules like we support everything in the SRD. And that's when the team went, and we don't support everything in the SRD. I'm like, what do you mean? We don't even, what don't we support? And they said life domain cleric. So it was like, fine, we will support life domain cleric. I hope whatever it takes. And yeah, that's one of those things where I always just tell my team that product management is the art of sacrificing one's vision upon the altar of compromise. I had to make a fair few compromises to keep that above the board and going, but we got it done. So I know, to me that was a huge thing for me because it was my first. We're getting that done. We got it done. So.
Yeah, me and my community team, thank you, sir. That was a big one for us. Dave?
For me, I think the thing I'm most proud of, and this isn't technical.
You've done it all, man. You did it all.
It's
to be fair.
That's why I'm not proud of it. No, to me, the thing I'm most proud of is our team. It's the team that I've been able to help build here and help support. It's unlike a lot of previous jobs that I've worked at, the majority of the team that we have here are extremely passionate and care about what we're doing. We're players. We all play. We're players. We're DMs. Some new. Some have been in it for years, and we're all passionate about the product that we're building. We're passionate about the users that we're able to help, the community that we've built around the product, and the community in general. The tabletop role-playing game, community, it has its issues, but it's not near as caustic as some of the other gaming communities that are out there. It's trying extremely hard to be very inclusive, very open, and that makes me care even more about helping this community. Something I've told a few people in conversations here internally, and something that I tell candidates when we're interviewing them for a position here is that, sure, I have stressful days. I've never had a bad one. And that means a lot to me. In the 5 years that I've been involved in this product, I've never had a bad day. There's never been a day where I woke up and dreaded going to work. Some of that time we actually were going to the office. Other times we're just logging in. But, and a lot of that is because of the community and because of our team. And I'm thrilled every day that I can help support them and help them do their best work. So that's what I'm.
I absolutely love that. No, I dig that. I wanted to ask you guys. We talk a lot about. Well, one thing that I'm excited about, and I consider it very fortunate timing for me to sort of come in as like a lot of these different elements of the product have really started to tie together and connect, and and stuff like that into. Ant, I know you've been on before to talk about sort of this idea of like a shared play space and stuff like that. I would love to ask you guys, where do we, and again, just to be fully transparent, there are so many things that we're on the cusp of announcing that we're not allowed to announce yet, and it's driving us insane. It really is.
It really is. Y'all have no idea how much we just want to shout things at you that we can't yet.
Yeah, but if you guys really kind of wanted to sort of map out like what it looks like once we turn 5, and where we want to be when we turn 8. I would love sort of, whether it's official stuff that's on the board, or if it's personal stuff that you're like, this is going to be my next life domain cleric, and I'm not going to shut up about it until it happens. I'd love some insight from y'all into that.
You want the dream?
Yeah, give me the dream.
All right. You can't take me any promises on this, guys. Anyone listening, this is not a promise. This is just my dream. This is just what I wake up with.
Purely apocrypha.
But I want us to be, so first off, our competition, to me, our main competition is pen and paper, right? Our goal is to eliminate the barrier from between rules and play, where you're able to stay, as Dave said, stay immersed, right? And not be flicking through the rules. We don't want you to fight with our tools. We don't want you to spend 2 hours having to set something up for half an hour's worth of play. It should be, our tool should fade into the background, right? But as the tool for D&D, I want to go soup to nuts. Right now, and that is a reference to dinner, by the way, nothing else. You go from soup course to the peanuts at the end.
I've never known what that meant.
I mean, sure. That's okay. Saying.
5-course meal, right? But right now,
so it's like, so sorry, Ant, sorry, just to really, I know this is the least important thing. So it's like you have soup first, right?
Yep.
But that is nuts like after dessert, like you go to a bar to get away from your family and you eat the nuts at the bar?
Snacks, peanuts.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. I guess
it's like when you have too much sweet food, you just need that little touch of salt just to like finish the palate, right? So like, boom, okay, I had dessert, some nuts.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
Glad we established
that. So on that, right, we are pretty much so we've been let's say we've been doing the appetizers, right? We've done the prep, and now we're working on the entree, being the shared play. Okay, but even before prep, there's getting together, there's finding each other and forming that group, right? The one of us always sparks it, like I want to, and it's usually whichever one you. I'm sure every DM here listening knows the pain of, well, fine, sod it, I'll buy the books, I'll get the group running, right? And there's always more players than there are DMs, but so from that core beginning of allowing people to find each other to play, into the prep that we already provide, the compendium, the character sheet, increase that. So like, I want to do world building so bad. I want to provide the world building tools for people, so you can have your entire world in the campaign and have that shared with your group through the play, right? Integrated play, all the tools you need to play so that you can just get right down to it, and where we're also tracking and recording it for you. So later on, even after play, you can turn that around into a chronicle, which gives you the chronicle tied to the world that you built and played in. So you've got the history there. The amount of insane conversations I've had at the bar with my mates after games where people are looking at us strangely because I'm telling you, my half-ogre squire ate the evidence of the bandits we killed, so there's no problem there. And there's people at the bar like, what are those people talking about? That's the history, right? Those shared stories of insanity that you've made together is the real joy of it. I'm going to be able to capture that and share that back to yourself from the actions that you took. Yeah, soup to nuts.
I
love that. Dave, Dave, how many months will it take to get that done?
Yeah.
Joe, how much money do you want to give me? It's all a triangle, man. It's all a triangle, right? Time, money, resources.
The ETA is actually a currency. I just wanted to add, like, the Chronicle thing is huge. I just finished a couple of years long campaign yesterday, and literally the rest of the day we were just constantly messaging each other with like, remember when this thing happened? Oh my gosh, and then this thing, and yeah, being able to have something that we could like look back on a year from now when it's not as fresh in our minds. Like, wow, what a dream that would be.
Well, I mean, as a DM, you repurpose, right? You repurpose your stories as a DM. Like, you tell them with different groups, or you would use the same world to tell the next story, and that's your creation, right? That's That's a world
Yeah.
you've created that you have passion about and you want to share stories in. So that the tools to do that is just as much a part of the game as the tool to roll a bloody dice on the screen.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I
It
love that
also
because
makes
I mean
you
that's
look
really
really
kind of
smart and like, hey,
yeah.
you're really good at foreshadowing because you looked back and said, hey, we did this thing. I'm just gonna like mention it, and everybody's gonna think I planned it.
Well, it's like what you said, Ant. Sort of what we make sort of fading into the background, so everyone can just stay focused on story, and having that ability to sort of like look back is that's the heart of the game. It's why we play. I've run Dragons of Icespire Peak for so many different groups, and that game has always been so insanely different for all of them. And being able to just like look back and just be like, oh nope, this is that time that a druid just convinced the pigs at Butterskull Ranch to go rescue the farmer, and we didn't fight a single orc. Stuff like yeah. That's the kind of heart and soul of the game, and kind of why we do this. It's really cool. I think Mellie has another solid one for you guys.
I do. So Falorn Grim, apologies, my friend. Are there any personal Easter eggs that you placed in D&D Beyond, or Easter eggs you're aware of? References to people that worked here or characters that they played that people might want to take a look at or look for.
Oh man, this was painful for a while. So I mentioned it earlier. Avi was our first front end engineer, and he he would create CSS classes based on the names of our characters in the in-office campaign we were running, which I can tell you is a pain in the butt to try to figure out if you don't know what that class is actually doing. Oh, Avi, bless his heart. I love him to death. Yeah, another one is
I discovered the wizard button on my own. I had no idea it was there.
Oh yeah, Party Wizard. Party Wizard is a great one on the encounter builder for sure.
The Easter egg dark mode in the encounter builder.
Easter egg dark mode in the encounter builder. Yes. I think you can Reddit that one if you really want to turn dark mode on in the encounter builder. A lot of the original staff. So one thing we did early on was on all of the original monsters that we had at that time, which was Monster Manual plus maybe a few other books. Marisha and Matt did the pronunciations for those. So if you go to a Monsters Detailed page, you'll see like a little speaker button beside it. You click on that. It's either Matt or Marisha. But they also did taglines for our signatures in the forums. So like if you look up one of my threads in the forums and look at my signature line, it doesn't look like a link, but if you click on it, you'll actually hear Matt speak that line in my signature. So there's a few Easter eggs scattered around. Like
I think we have there's Sam Riegel singing somewhere on the site as well. That's not the theme song. There's other singing. So if you haven't found that, you might want to take a look.
Sung a song for the sea shanty in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, if you can figure out where that's at.
Yeah, lots of things to hunt for.
Yep.
I haven't managed to get
super fun
myself yet, though.
Yeah.
I did want the. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was just going to say.
Go.
I'm waiting for you now,
Alphabetical
mate.
order. Ant, go ahead.
All right. I was going to say I did want to ask for the with the containers that we just put out. If you put a bag of holding inside that, if you put portable hold inside a bag of holding for an explosion animation to eat your character sheet. But whenever I ask for an Easter egg, it's a matter of that's nice, boss. How long are you willing to delay features to get that out?
Oh, that's not fair. Team, give Ant some Easter eggs.
I probably would have been willing for a little delay on that one. I personally probably would have been a little more vindictive and just had it kill your character outright, but that's me. That's just me.
It should at least add the little text that comes if you die, where it just adds dead to your name.
Just
as a reminder that was very dangerous.
Yep.
Even I've got an Easter egg so far. I forced Michael Galvis to write a multi-classing guide to artificers so that we can make character art for my home game artist. Well, we got to get ants of Easter eggs in there. Oh my gosh. Mellie, do we have any other questions from chat to drop in?
Well, we've got let's see. I mean, we've got lots of questions of people asking about specific features they'd love to see, and we're gathering those in the chat. We've got mods in there who are doing that, like things about temporary effects and other things like that. Container upgrades, all those sorts of things. I like this one. I find this one very interesting. Let me get back to it. Vidra Saga or Vedra Saga. Biggest mistake that D&D has been made at D&D Beyond, and what we learned from it to make it a better product going forward.
So that's a great
question.
That's a great question, and is in line with an overall retrospective as we do them internally, right? A retrospective should be an analysis of what went well, what did not go well, what did we learn from that, and where are we going to change going forward into the future. What is the biggest mistake D&D Beyond made?
Hiring me, probably.
That's a really good question. I think.
While Dave mulls over it, I just want to compliment your bar.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go on a tangent because I assumed this was going to come up. One, I do want to point out there is currently no liquor in that bar. I'm not an alcoholic in any shape, form, or fashion. My wife and I purchased this house just a few months ago and moved in, and this was the previous owner's game room, right? So they had a poker table set up over here, a little shuffleboard, like where my desk is right now. And my original thought was I'm going to gut this and make it a more modern, kind of office. And then, the more I started looking at it, I was like, it's almost pseudo steampunky-esque in here already. Why not just lean into that? So now I'm just going to go full steampunk. So that's why I'm ripping
go
off.
Full Jules Verne. So, I'm very excited.
Yeah. So this wall over here, it had like exactly. It had this wall had a wallpaper mural of one of the holes on Augusta, the golf course. So I'm ripping that off so I can repaint it. I'm going to put a lot of fantasy map artwork up there. Probably, Narnia, Middle Earth, Wildmount.
Love maps.
Yeah, and some more shelves, piping, all that kind of cool stuff. But so back to the biggest mistake. I don't know if it's probably one of the top things that comes to mind when we first launched. Because you can say, hey, we didn't put enough resources in the product early on, all that kind of stuff, but that was really more limitation of the business, and we've gone through multiple business owners, so that kind of loses some validity in the retrospective. But from a product engineering standpoint, I think the biggest mistake that we made was the first version of the character sheet. We were trying to modernize something that people were already familiar with, right? So you take your traditional pen and paper, D&D character sheet, the way it's laid out, the way it's constructed, has been relatively unchanged for 40 years at this point. People know it, people see it, people immediately recognize it. And we tried to modernize it with our first version. And a lot of users may not even have seen what that first version was if they came into the product, later on. But we launched with it, and it just wasn't solving all the problems that we wanted to solve. So we took that feedback from the community. Adam sat down with Scott and Pasquale and said, hey, this just isn't going to cut it. Like, we need to relay it out. There's some additional things we need to do in here that it currently can't do. And I know we just launched. This was like 6 months after we launched, right? So it's very short duration after we launched the product. And he was like, I know this is going to be painful. I know we just launched. I know we wanted to get on other things like DM tools, but we need to get this right. We need to solve the problems that we actually need to solve for the players. And that led into a 9+ month long duration of coming up with a character sheet as you see it today. So I think that was probably one of our biggest mistakes, was trying to solve problems that weren't really a problem. You know?
I remember I've been a member of D&D Beyond since pretty much day one. I remember that old sheet, and I remember like it was workable, like, it worked great, but it was so different from what we were used to. So trying to get my friends to join in, there was that little like, well, this doesn't really feel like D&D. It feels a little different.
Right.
And I just remember like the day that released, when like the new sheet came out, I was at where I was working like a 16-hour day at a football game, and I was
Mhm.
like, just every moment I could, just going and like playing with the character sheet and trying all the buttons with my character, because it was like the coolest thing. It just changed the game entirely for me. Like, that new character sheet was mind-bogglingly good. Like, it changed everything for me and my experience with D&D Beyond, anyways.
And we got out of it the best character sheet in the business, in my
There you go.
opinion.
There you go.
Gang, I really appreciate y'all coming on and being able. I feel a little silly, sort of being the host and MC of this stuff. I haven't even been here for a year yet, whereas y'all have been in the trenches and really made this what it is. But at the same time, I'm super proud to be able to be that. That's what I consider my job, is to be able to really spotlight the work that y'all are doing and the folks that are doing it. For all our team members that are watching and all that good stuff, thank you guys so much for your work. Happy anniversary. It really has all paid off so well, it's going to continue to. And I really didn't want us all to have to be so weird and evasive this week on stuff that's coming, but here we are, is what it is. But yeah, no. Happy anniversary to the gang. My only regret about this week is that we're not in person, all crashing in Dave's bar together. I absolutely wish that we could be. I have yet to see a single person that I work with here in person, and it makes me sad. We'll get there someday, though. So as we go out, a reminder to be safe, be kind, and take care of each other through all this weirdness. Play D&D with each other through all this weirdness. That's one way of taking care of each other as we just continue to just walk through a very weird couple of years. That's always our hope for this community, that you guys can come together playing this game and tell your stories and help each other through the tough times with that. That's really a mission critical here, I think. So tune in. We'll be back at 2:00. Playing with Adam, with Jen, with B-Dave, DM'd by our own Amy Dallen. Super excited about that. Dave, and any sort of closing thoughts to take us out? Oh, Mellie, please.
Oh yeah, if you're not sure what time that is in your time zone, that is 1 hour from now. So see you in an hour.
It's like California time. It's like enough time to get a breakfast burrito and whatever. Yep. Ant, Dave, any final thoughts to take us out on?
Only that it is an absolute privilege to work here. This is my dream job. This is where my professional skills meet my personal passion, right? I'm never going to be a doctor. This is as close to a calling as I'm ever going to have. I've been playing, sounds like as long as Dave has, since 80s, and my life is complete doing this. And I spent 14 years in mapping. I knew every day I woke up, I was helping people. I was helping people find places they had to go, reasons they had to be there for anything from medical emergencies or just getting to their brother's wedding. Now I know every day when I wake up, I'm helping bring joy to the people who enjoy the same things as I do, that I am absolutely passionate about. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Ant, you get to steer clear of the maps business from here on out. Dave, any closing thoughts for us?
I would like to see Ant put those skills to use here. I'm just saying. I love this team. I love our users. I love this product. And, you have a team here that cares about what we're doing. and that's a great place to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. Happy anniversary, y'all. Mellie, as the most important part on this call, I ask you to take us out.
Oh boy, well, thank you everybody for joining us for this dev update. We got 2 more this week, Wednesday and Friday, same time, so come and join us then. And I mean, in 1 hour, pop back here and we're gonna run some amazing charity games and we're gonna roll fun dice with fun people. So see you then.
It's D&D.